So my name is Joshua Waldman. I'm the author of Job Searching with Social Media for Dummies, and I'm the founder and the main blogger at careerenlightenment.com, which is a blog focused on helping job seekers regain their sense of control. There's so many forces that are pulling us away from our dreams or the jobs that we really want. Unemployment rates, unemployment discrimination, not knowing what to do, not understanding the changes in the hiring world. And so with social media, it's really a tool that can help the job seeker regain that control. You can control your profiles, you can control the people you meet. You can't control how people see you, but you can help to influence that image that you're projecting through personal branding. I've been syndicated internationally. I've been on ABC Good Morning America, Mashable, with some infographics and some consolidation of some very interesting research. Personal branding is interesting. I think it's really misunderstood, and it's a term that's overused way too much these days. If you think about it from the point of view of a hiring manager, let's step out of our shoes as a job seeker, as someone who's looking to improve our career, and let's say, okay, so for a hiring manager to make a decision about you, they need to have three things answered. Do I like you? Are you motivated? And can you do the job? And unfortunately, a lot of people who start their job search are focused on, can you do the job? And this is just a foot in the door, right? The resume is really good at answering that question, but decisions are not made there. Decisions are made about who you are. Who you are is not a commodity. It can't be competed with. It's unique. You're the individual, and that's what's going to earn you the job. There's a lot of statistics to show that it's not always the qualified people who end up with the positions. So when we move from commodity, from can you do the job, into the realm of personality, such as, who are you, what motivates you, are you motivated, how motivated are you, what makes you the best at what you do, this is the world of personal branding. And I think that people who are serious about their career, who really focus on this, are going to do a lot better than those who just focus on if they can pull the lever or push the button. So personal branding has two spheres. There's you, and then there's them. If you think of it like a Venn diagram. So, and where that overlap is, that's where your sweet spot is. That's where your messaging is going to come from. That makes sense. So we really have to start personal branding through introspection. Who are we? What are our values? What are our aspirations? And then once we figure that out through values elicitation exercises, personality tests like the color code or MAP testing, MAPP testing, figuring out who you are, then we can begin to align that with the needs of the organization through research. And these days, there's no excuse not to understand what your target organization is going through right now. What are their goals? What are their biggest challenges? In fact, you can even use some of these social media tools to identify exactly who the hiring manager is, and then understand what that hiring manager is going through, so that you can align who you are with their values, their aspirations, and solving their problems. That's really the essence of personal branding. Introspection helps with decision making. Right? So for example, let's say you got a great job offer from an oil company doing some drilling or excavation, but you've identified that one of your core values is conservation. No matter how much money they're going to offer you, you're going to say no, and you're not going to worry about it. It's very fast. If you haven't done that introspection yet, you're going to teeter. And it's going to be a very painful couple of days figuring out whether or not you're going to take this job offer or not. So just like a business decides on a strategy and then uses that strategy as a map to make a decision later on, so too as a job seeker or as someone serious about advancing our career, we have to really understand what our strategy is, what we want out of our careers, and then use that as a map to decide on what to do. Everyone's going to be different, really. Someone else might test and say that they really love the energy industry and don't really care that much about conservation, but they care more about the technology used in oil excavation. And so that futurism, that passion for newer technologies is going to drive a decision to say yes to the oil company. The most important introspection is going to be a values elicitation. And there's not really a test to do that. There are books that talk about this kind of thing, like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the exercises in there is write your eulogy that your best friend is going to say about you. What are they going to remember about you? Asking yourself, who do you admire most and why? What value do they represent? Asking yourself, what was a time in my career that I'm the most proud of? Write it down in vivid detail and then figure out exactly why you're most proud of it. Because that's really going to uncover your core values. It's hard to just ask yourself, because you can look at lists and lists of values, right, and say, oh, that one looks good, and I like courage and integrity, oh, that's a good one to have. Those are superficial. But when we use our own experiences to kind of extract that, it'll be really easy. You know, one of the exercises to do is to try to figure out what are your top 3 core values, and boil those down into a single statement about who you are. That's the best way to get to the essence of your personal brand. It's very likely these days that your first impression with an employer is going to be an online impression. Some research indicates it's over 80%. Even before they talk to you on the phone, they're going to Google you. So that Google resume, or in other words, the first 1, 2, or 3 pages of Google search results on your name, are incredibly important. LinkedIn happens to rank pretty high on Google. So things like your picture, your headline, and your summary are key. The resume came from our industrial revolution, right? Where we needed to hire as many hammerers and welders and industry people as possible. So, you know, we took the European CV and we stripped out the personal information and the pictures, and we made a very boiled down, what we call a modern resume. And so the resume does a great job at answering that question of, can you do the job? But we've forgotten the roots of where that came from. And so when we take the idea of resume, and this is a mistake a lot of people make, is that they just copy the resume and put it online as a profile. So, you know, on your resume you have your name, and then you'll have your job title, and then you'll have some kind of professional statement written in the third person. So it's very, very formal, and it's very devoid of personality and personal branding. So you're essentially turning yourself into a commodity with a resume. Now, with an online profile, it's totally different paradigm, right? You're trying to not be a commodity. You're trying to have personality, show your difference, your uniqueness, because that's where hiring decisions are being made these days. So people will copy and paste their job title where it says headline. They'll copy and paste their third person professional statement where it says profile summary in LinkedIn. And they'll forget about the fact that we now have 2 audiences, right? So I'm sure that when you were talking to your career advisors, when you're going through school or you're working with a career coach, they gave you a list of power verbs, right? So you take this list of power verbs and you look at your resume and you fit in as many power verbs as you can, because you want it to be compelling and you want to keep people reading. We do that because the primary audience on a paper resume is a human being. Well, online, your primary audience is split in half. You have human beings and you have search engines. Okay, so as LinkedIn is opening up their APIs and recruiters are using this API hook in their own software more and more, the use of nouns or keywords is becoming ever more important. And so when you just copy and paste your resume, you miss out on helping the search engine figure out who you are and deliver those results to the recruiter. So there's a couple of levels here. One, that the paradigm for the online resume or the online profile is different, right? It's about creating a personal experience. Also, that personal experience needs to be extractable by machines so that you can be indexed and show up on search results. And this is going to become ever more important as as our markets change, as budgets are cut in HR, and as these processes are being streamlined and technologies are becoming a lot more affordable to do this. Many people will just start filling out their LinkedIn profile without thinking about their personal brand. Okay, so part of personal branding is figuring out what your 3 words are, right? Your 3 values. Also doing some keyword research, using the Google keyword tool, or looking at job descriptions and creating word clouds from these job descriptions to pull out the most used words that companies are actually using to describe what you do, and then using those words strategically in your headlines and your profile summaries. Once you've figured all of that out, it's very easy to fill out your headline. Now in LinkedIn, it says headline, not job title. A lot of people just say senior software engineer. This isn't correct. You have 120 characters here to make a first impression. This headline is attached to almost every single communication you send via LinkedIn, whether it's writing on a groups page, whether it's sending an invitation to connect, or whether you're sending a direct message to another person, such as a hiring manager. That headline is going to be the first statement they read about who you are. In other words, it's your tagline, if you think about it in the branding context. So having the keywords in there, and also having your personal brand relevant in there to get the attention of your audience. And that's how you approach the headline. Same with your profile summary. The way to approach the headline is to think, what's the problem I'm solving? So if you're a salesperson, you're trying to grow revenue. So instead of senior account manager, which is great to have in there, what if it says, experienced sales professional passionate about growing your top line growth, or your top line revenue? It's a lot more compelling. Or a quality control engineer could say, meticulous engineer concerned about top quality production, quality control engineer. So that way you have the keyword and you have this passionate statement, the statement of solving a problem. So you have 120 characters. Most job titles are only 10 characters, right? So you have a lot of room to grow and express who you are.